Hidden insecurity, a duchess's heart revealed by an unexpected stranger's amazing act of love. Lila stood alone in the grand parlor of her estate, looking out at the storm clouds gathering over Charleston. The opulence surrounding her, a gilded chandelier, silk curtains, and the rich aroma of jasmine felt suffocating. She was the Duchess of Charleston, yet loneliness seeped into her bones. Each tick of the ornate clock echoed her loneliness, her heart yearning for something more, something real. This life, filled with balls and elegant soirees, had become just a series of empty gestures. Meanwhile, Jack had his hands full in his working-class neighborhood, rallying his neighbors as the winds picked up and the rain began to fall. He organized emergency shelters, handing out bottled water and blankets, his worn hands moving with purpose. The storm, a monster looming overhead, didn't scare him. He believed in community, he believed in love and support. Everyone in his world could count on him. But deep down, Jack wrestled with the weight of his family's struggles, his father's illness pulling him into shadows of despair he couldn't shake. On that fateful evening, Lila felt an inexplicable pull. It tugged at her as fiercely as the wind howled outside. With her heart racing, she stepped outside, determined to break free from the gilded chains that bound her. She donned a simple raincoat, the fabric feeling foreign against her skin, but it was a step away from her pristine life. She made her way toward the sounds of chaos, ready to face the storm both outside and within herself. As the tempest unleashed its fury, Jack led families toward the glittering mansion, its light spilling into the darkened street like a lighthouse guiding lost ships. The grand doors swung open, revealing Lila standing there, an unexpected ray of hope against the storm. Jack shifted uneasily as he stepped across the threshold. They wore their differences like armor, she in her elegance, he in his ruggedness. But that night, they melded together, cooking warm meals, comforting frightened children, and sharing brief laughter amid the chaos. "You don't belong here," Jack said at one point, the tension thick between them. "And yet, here I stand," Lila replied softly, each word a challenge to the societal mold she was trapped in. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The storm raged on, forcing the walls of their worlds to collide. Lila felt an awakening, a fire igniting within her. As she worked beside Jack, she saw fear turn to resolve among the community members, their weary faces softening with gratitude. It reached a boiling point when Jack ventured out into the storm, risking his own safety to retrieve an ornate locket, the last connection she had to her mother. Her heart stopped as he brought it back, soaked and breathless, the look in his eyes overcoming any remnants of prejudice. In that fleeting moment, everything changed. Standing amidst chaos, they were no longer titles or classes, they were just two souls searching for connection and purpose. As the rain began to relent, Lila realized her heart was free, but the path ahead remained clouded. Would they find the courage to navigate the divide separating their worlds, or would fear keep them apart forever? As dawn's light began to break, illuminating the wreckage outside, they stood on the cusp of braving a future together. The morning sun peeked through broken clouds, casting a soft glow over the remnants of the storm. Lila stood at the threshold of her estate, the locket heavy in her palm. It was more than a piece of jewelry, it was a bridge between her past and the unknown future she now embraced. Her heart raced with emotions she had long buried. As the winds faded into a gentle breeze, the life she had always known felt distant, almost unreal. Jack emerged from the fray, his face streaked with rain and determination, a smile breaking across his features as he caught sight of her. There was a spark in his eyes that sent warmth coursing through her. "You did it," he said, breathless, as if they had both moved mountains that night. "You opened your doors to those in need. You're not just a duchess, you're something more." More. The word lingered between them like a promise. She wanted to explore that more with him, to take the next step. Lila felt a pull deep within, a desire not just to be seen but to truly connect. Would this new dawn offer her the chance to redefine who she was? As people began to emerge from the shelter of the mansion, laughter and chatter filled the air. The warmth of human connection seeped into her heart. The lines separating Jack's life and hers began to blur. Yet, as the crowd stirred around her, Lila felt a flicker of doubt. Could she really step outside her title, her expectations? Jack approached her, sensing her hesitation. It doesn't matter who you were. What matters is who you want to be now. His voice was steady, his gaze unwavering. The sincerity in his eyes washed over her, and Lila felt tears prick at her own. Together, we can do more for our community, he urged, as if he could sense her internal struggle. This storm showed us that we are stronger when we stand side by side, no matter our past. His words resonated deep within her. Perhaps her past, packaged in silk and pearls, didn't have to define her future. Lila took a deep breath, looking around at the people she had helped. Families gathered, sharing stories and support while they cleaned up the remnants of the storm. For the first time, she truly believed in the weight of her own choices. "Let us do something," she replied, her voice stronger than she felt. "Together." Jack smiled, hope and determination radiating from him. "How about a community garden? A place where everyone can come together, grow food, and build relationships." The idea blossomed in her mind, vibrant and alive. This was it. A tangible way to connect, to bridge the gap that had long divided their worlds. But as they spoke excitedly about the project, a shadow crossed Jack's face. "My father, he hasn't been well," he admitted, his voice breaking slightly. "I'm scared. I don't know how long I can keep going like this." Lila felt an ache in her heart for him, the burden he carried. She reached out and placed her hand on his arm, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath her touch. "I'm here for you," she promised, her voice full of conviction. "Whatever you need." In that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were no longer just two individuals from different worlds, they were allies against the odds, bound together by shared commitment and budding affection. But just as hope began to settle in, a loud rumble shook the ground. Lila turned to see the distant water line, a menacing wave rising with incredible speed. The storm was over, but as nature reminded them of its unpredictability, the question loomed, would their fragile alliance be enough to face what lay ahead? With urgency tugging at her heart, Lila realized that the true storm was just beginning, and they would have to fight together to weather it. Would they stand strong, protected by their newfound bond, or would the forces around them tear them apart? Lila's heart raced as she stood frozen, eyes locked on the towering wave racing toward them. Panic was a heavy blanket, threatening to stifle the warmth she had just begun to feel with Jack. "Run!" Jack shouted, urgency twisting his features. He grabbed her hand, the heat of his grip sparking a rush of adrenaline. With no time to think, Lila followed him, the crowd around them dissolving into chaotic shouts and frantic movements. They sprinted toward the estate, Lila's mind whirring with worry not just for herself, but for the families who had gathered there for support. "What about everyone?" she gasped, glancing back at the growing terror of the wave. "They can head to the basement," Jack said, pushing her forward. "It's the safest place." As they reached the mansion, he slipped his hand from hers and shouted instructions to the others, his voice commanding. Lila joined him, trying to project calm into the rising fear. "Everyone! Get inside! Head to the basement, now!" A few people hesitated, staring at the terrifying sight behind them, but Lila's voice broke through. "We have to go. Now!" She ushered families toward the entrance, her breath quickening. With each passing second, the wave grew closer, a monstrous wall of water behind them. Amidst the rush, Lila caught snippets of conversations, expressions of disbelief and fear. A mother pulled her young child close, whispering reassurances, while an older couple struggled to maintain balance. Lila reached a hand out to them, helping the woman over a fallen branch. Thank you. Thank you. The woman's eyes were wide, her voice shaking. We thought we were safe. A pang struck Lila's chest, they were all this vulnerable now. She nodded, offering what small comfort she could. You are safe. Just keep moving. Please. Jack was a whirlwind of activity, directing people and checking on each family. With a jolt, she realized how naturally he took charge, a leader in times of chaos. Everything in her wanted to stay by his side, yet she couldn't allow herself to feel that warmth now. The urgency of the moment consumed her, rippling through the air as she urged more people inside. Almost there. Jack called out, glancing back, concern etched in his brow. Just a little more. The water roared behind them, amplifying hope and dread in one breath. They finally made it to the last group, a family of 4, the father gripping a child's shoulder tightly. Jack and Lila surged forward together, ushering them toward the safety of the mansion. Just then, the earth shook with a tremor unlike any she had ever felt, accompanied by the sound of rushing water like thunder. Get inside! Jack shouted, his gaze fierce. The wave crashed against the estate's edge with a terrifying force, spraying water and debris. Lila felt as if time suspended for a moment. The family, her neighbors, and even Jack were instantly frozen in the face of nature's fury. She watched as the wave invaded the ground she loved, threatening to erase the very foundation of their newly forged community. The basement door was half opened, a dark invitation to safety, and yet it felt so final. As she faced the crowd, she saw fear mirrored in their eyes and knew, this was not just about protecting themselves. It was about holding on to hope, about connecting with each other through shared turmoil. We cannot let this destroy us. Lila shouted, her voice cutting through the din. We face this together. We need each other more than ever. The words spilled from her heart, rooted in the strength of their shared struggle. A wave of resolve rushed through the crowd, sparked by an invisible thread binding them all. With hands intertwined, Lila felt a flicker of belief in the face of catastrophe. Together. Jack echoed, raising his voice. Together. Lila felt her spirit lift in the face of desperation. But just as hope ignited, the front door slammed shut behind a fleeing figure, a figure she recognized all too well. It was her mother, pale and frantic, and the intensity of Lila's own fears suddenly surged anew. Lila. Her mother gasped, and her voice was filled with urgency. We have to talk now. Every instinct told Lila that this discussion would tear at the very fabric of what she believed she could build with Jack. But in that critical moment, with the water pounding and the uncertainty rising, she faced a dilemma that could change everything. Would she turn to the past or embrace the future she craved? As her heart thudded in her chest, Lila understood she was at a crossroads, teetering between love and duty, the waves crashing just outside. Lila. Her mother's voice shattered the moment, each syllable aching with a mix of urgency and desperation. The tightness in Lila's chest deepened as she faced the woman who had been a constant yet unpredictable presence in her life. Her mother's eyes were wild, revealing a fear that mirrored the chaos outside. Mom, what are you doing here? Lila whispered, half anger, half worry. She dared not take her gaze off the wave, looming behind her like a beast ready to pounce. You need to get inside. I couldn't leave you. We need to talk about what's happening. Her mother panted, barely able to catch her breath. The fear in her voice chipped away at Lila's composure. Not now. Lila snapped, the tension pulling at her more than the threat of the ocean. We have more important things to worry about than our past. People are scared. Her mother hesitated, the weight of Lila's words hanging heavily between them. The ground shook again, and a scream echoed from somewhere amidst the crowd. It was a child, terrified and lost. I understand you're scared, but you need to focus, okay? We all do. Lila swayed between frustration and compassion. In this moment, she saw the little girl in her mother, the one who had once held her tightly in storms of a different kind. Lila, you don't understand, her mother started, but another tremor interrupted. Please. Just listen. Lila interrupted, her heart racing as she glanced back at the crowd flooding inside the estate. We can't try to solve everything right now. We need to get everyone to safety first. Lila was torn. She wanted to shake her mother and scream, but she also wanted to comfort her. We can talk later, she managed to say, watching the cautious families behind her cling to one another, eyes darting as if the wave might wash them away any second. Right now, you need to go downstairs. Jack appeared, his chin set in determination, a key at his fingertips. I'll help you. Jack, don't. Lila cried out, realizing his intention was to lead her mother away from her. She stepped back, gripping her mother's arm tightly, as if anchoring them both in the storm. But already, Jack had her mother's hand, urging her toward the basement entrance. You'll be safer below. We'll be right there. No. Lila protested, feeling panic rise as the swell of the crowd surged forward. She needs enough. Her mother's voice cut through the air, commanding attention. Lila, listen to him. You have to be with the others. The warmth in that single, forceful moment struck Lila hard. Her mother never raised her voice, and yet here she was, demanding what needed to be done. It felt unreal, a sudden shift in their dynamic, and Lila's heart twisted with confusion. Just go with Jack. Lila urged her mother. Please. I'll be right behind you. Panic coursed through her, conflicting emotions battling for control. For a moment, her mother hesitated, looking back at Lila with an intensity that spoke of untold words. You matter to me. More than anything, but I need you to be safe, too. With a final, lingering look, her mother turned and let Jack guide her inside. Lila felt an overwhelming sadness wash over her. What had just happened? Their worlds were finally colliding, but now wasn't the time for clarity or heart-to-heart talks. As her heart thudded in her chest, she steeled herself. She had people outside who needed her. Everyone, please. Lila shouted, rallying her voice against the chaos. Follow us downstairs now. With renewed focus, she pushed through the last of the crowd, guiding the stragglers who hesitated, urging them onward. The water roared behind them once more, drowning her thoughts, hardening her resolve. Yet in the fray, something gnawed at her. Did she just lose an opportunity to bridge the gap with her mother? How could she face a drowning future without the anchor of her past? With the basement door closing, Lila hesitated. Was it too late to reach her mother? Just then, a resounding crash echoed outside, shaking dust and debris from the ceiling above. As she turned to the noise, fear clawed at her throat. She could barely comprehend the chaos still brewing and how powerless she felt. What lay ahead was an uncertain future. And she could feel it pressing against her. The next moment would determine everything. Would they come together as one against the force outside? Or would something precious rip apart at the seams just when they were starting to mend? Time felt suspended again as she braced for whatever came next. The air pulsed with a terrifying urgency, thick with the shouts and cries of panicking families. Lila's heart raced faster than the chaos around her, each beat echoing her desperation not only for safety but for something more: connection, understanding, a way back to her mother. Keep moving. She shouted, pushing more people toward the basement door. Her eyes darted over the faces, catching glimpses of fear, confusion, and determination. The tide of humanity surged forward, but it felt unsteady, like a wave ready to crash back. Outside, the ocean roared, and Lila turned to see the first glistening tendrils of water slithering over the steps leading to the estate. Panic flooded her chest, the reality setting in that they were racing against time. Hurry! She urged, her voice raw and strained. Jack moved alongside her, eyes wide as he glanced back at the door closing behind them. We need to help everyone down first. There are still people. His urgency mixed with the hesitance of the crowd. They were terrified, unsure how to respond to the rising tide. Lila felt their fear wrap around her like a shroud, threatening to pull her under. I know. She yelled back, pushing through. Stay together. We'll be safe soon, but we have to trust each other. Each word she spoke was a tether, binding them against the storm. Still, doubt crept in, would they really be safe? As the last remnants of daylight seeped away, the darkness swallowed them. Lila could barely see now, the crowd close against her, and she could feel breathing quicken, the weight of lingering uncertainty milling deeper into her soul. How would she hold it all together? Without warning, the ground shook underfoot, causing everyone to stagger. The sound of glass shattering echoed from within the estate. Fear erupted anew. Get to the basement. Lila cried, pushing forward even as a primal instinct begged her to look back, to search for her mother. Lila. Jack's voice broke through, sharp and demanding. You can't go back now. We can't gamble with lives. A flash of anger ignited, battling with fear. But Jack was right. She had to stay strong, yet her heart felt like a boulder, dragging behind her. They needed one another, family or not. Suddenly, a sharp wail sliced through the chaos, pulling Lila's focus to a small girl standing alone, frozen in shock. Her tiny frame trembled as she gripped her doll tightly, one small hand raised to the shadows behind her. The girl's eyes were wide and pleading, a mirror of Lila's own turmoil. Sweetie, come on. Lila called urgently, moving toward her. The child didn't move. It's okay, I'm here. I promise I won't let anything happen. But she could feel her voice wavering, the little girl's fear cutting through any remnants of her own strength. I can't, my mom. The girl cried, tears cascading down her cheeks. Lila could see the look of desperation, the same fear mirrored in her own heart for her mother, now hidden behind a thick wall of uncertainty. Shoo, Lila knelt to meet her at eye level, her heart breaking. Can you help me? We'll find your mom together. I promise. The little girl nodded slightly but didn't move. Before Lila could extend her hand, another quake rattled the ground, sending ripples of panic through the crowd, the basement now feeling like an isolated refuge from the chaos outside. Please, it's time. She urged, feeling tears prickle at her eyes, searching for strength not just for herself but for this little girl too. Time was ticking. They needed to act fast before fear swallowed them whole. Just as she was about to reach out again, the girl's eyes shifted, darting behind Lila. There was something beyond her. A collective gasp echoed through the crowd as a massive wave broke over the estate, crashing the waves against the shoreline, and Lila turned just in time to see the ocean barreling toward them. Run! She screamed. And in that moment, she felt everything tilt, shifting the ground beneath her feet, leaving her gasping. Where was her mother? Would they all make it? Before she could process more, Jack's hand found hers, squeezing tight. We have to go. Now. With hearts pounding and terror rising, they surged forward together. But as they charged toward the basement, Lila couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper awaited them when they reached safety. What if her mother had faced something even worse outside? Just as they reached the door, an unexpected sound pierced through the screams. A voice, unmistakable yet distant, was calling her name. Lila. The connection sparked a flicker of hope, but the question lingered, would she stretch her reach toward that voice? Or would she let the waves of worry drown out everything she held dear? Lila's heart thundered as she stood at the threshold of the basement door, torn between the call of safety and the pull of her mother's voice slicing through the chaos. It was a sound that made her blood run hot and cold simultaneously, a beacon that urged her to look back even as terror loomed ahead. Lila, please. Jack's grip tightened on her hand, grounding her amidst the storm of emotions. His eyes were wide, merging fear and urgency. We can't afford to risk it. There are too many lives at stake. She hesitated, weighing the sound of her mother's voice against the hundreds of frightened souls behind them. With each second that passed, the rise of water outside grew louder, a relentless reminder of time slipping away. Jack, she whispered, vulnerability creeping into her tone. What if she needs me? What if? But Jack's eyes were resolute. We can't be heroes right now. We have to look after everyone here. His voice softened, desperation coloring his words. If we don't make it to the basement, no one will be safe. Not you, not me, not anyone. With her heart in turmoil, Lila felt the pressure of the others, shifting, anxious. The tide of fear pressed against her like a physical weight, urging her to make a decision. She turned toward the door, where shadows danced in the dim light. The desperate cries echoed around her like a siren song. I can't let her down, Lila murmured, almost to herself, but she could feel Jack's breath hitch beside her, fear seeping into the cracks of her resolve. Lila. The voice again clearer this time, like a thin ribbon of hope stretched across the crowd. Lila. In that moment, her mother's name felt like the key to a locked door in her heart. I have to go, she breathed, the decision forming a fragile shield against the terror. Before Jack could respond, Lila slipped from his grasp and turned back, scanning the frightening darkness that seemed to close in around her. She thought of the little girl with the doll, of the family they were all meant to protect. Here, she had to trust her instincts, even if they screamed at her to run back to safety. Mom! She called, breaking through the cacophony around her, hoping her voice would guide the lost amid the chaos. People paused, startled by her determination. With urgency fueling her, she started back toward the sound of reassurance in the storm. Each quickening step sent fear dancing in her chest, but she pushed forward. Hope flickered like a candle in the wind, barely visible but ever present. As Lila made her way through the throng, her vision blurred with tears, and thoughts of her mother drove her on. Would she find her? Would she even recognize her through all this madness? Suddenly, out of the corner of her eye, she caught a movement. It was the small girl, still paralyzed in fear, her tears glistening in the dim light. Lila stopped, her heart tearing at the sight. Sweetheart, please. She urged, holding out her hand. I need your help. We can't let this hold us back. The girl's wide eyes met Lila's, uncertainty still apparent but softened by a flicker of trust. Will you find my mommy? She asked, voice tiny against the roar outside. Yes, Lila promised, her heart swelling with unexpected affection. I will find our mommies together. But I need you to be brave for me. The girl took a hesitant step, hand trembling before interlocking with Lila's. That single action grounded Lila further, sparking a realization. Each connection they shared was a lifeline, a thread of courage binding them together. With newfound determination, Lila turned her focus back to the voice that had drawn her in. She followed the sound, stepping carefully through the panicking crowd, her heart pounding in rhythm with every hopeful beat that resonated through her. But just as they edged closer to the shadows where her mother could be, the world around them shuddered again. A violent quake split the air, sending a wave of screams rolling back through the crowd. Hold on! Lila shouted, gripping the girl's hand tighter as they stumbled forward, bracing against the energy rippling around them. As dust swirled above them, glimpses of light broke through the darkness, illuminating faces twisted in fear. Lila! The voice called again, clear and insistent, pulling her like an anchor. Fueled by the echo, she charged toward it, but the spell of the moment broke when the ground beneath them quaked violently, splitting the earth. What just happened? Lila's breath caught in her throat as she saw the door to the basement shift, the distance to safety suddenly seeming insurmountable. Jack shouted something, but the noise drowned in the freezing rush of panic in Lila's mind. Would she reach her mother? Would all of them survive? Standing there, suspended between a dream and disaster, every ounce of fear could form a dam to hold back her mother's voice or push her forward into the unknown. But for every moment of dread, hope flickered brighter within. Mom! Would she find the strength to break through these waves, or had she just unleashed a whirlwind of impossibility? Lila's heart raced as she fought to comprehend the chaos surrounding her. The tremors beneath her feet felt like a warning bell, echoing the turmoil within. The small girl's hand in hers felt fragile, but it was also a steady reminder that hope could exist even in the direst of circumstances. "Stay close," Lila urged, pulling the girl towards her. She scanned the crowd, searching for any familiar face, praying to see her mother's silhouette cutting through the fear. "Keep your eyes on me." The child nodded, her dark curls bouncing as they moved. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice small but determined. "I know," Lila replied, forcing a reassuring smile. "But we're going to find our mommies. We're stronger together." With each step they took, Lila felt the waves of panic crackle through the air, threatening to push them back. Shadows danced around them as the ceiling overhead creaked ominously, a constant reminder that danger lurked just above them. As they navigated through the crowd, she couldn't shake the feeling that every moment could bring something worse crashing down. "Lila." Her mother's voice was closer now, piercing through the chaos like a beacon. Hope ignited in her chest. "I'm here," she called back, pushing against the gnawing fear that wanted to cripple her resolve. Suddenly, the ground heaved again, and debris rained down, sending terrified cries echoing through the room. Lila instinctively shielded the girl, shielding them both with her body. Heart pounding, she looked around frantically, trying to spot the source of her mother's voice. "Mom! Where are you?" Lila shouted, her voice almost lost in the cacophony. "Over here." The voice was more faint now, sounding as if it might be trapped. Without thinking, Lila started running toward the sound, leaving the girl only for a moment. "Can you follow me?" she called back, though her heart ached at the thought of leaving the child behind. "Yes." The girl replied, determination mixed with fear. Lila plunged deeper into the crowd, weaving between bodies that jolted in panic. The sense of urgency clawed at her. She couldn't lose her mother. Not now. Not when they were so close. Just beyond the next throng of terrified faces, she caught a glimpse of movement, a shadow that resembled her mother. "Mom!" Lila's voice was a weapon of desperation. She pushed against the tide, little by little, clawing through the sea of bodies that surged with terror. Just as she thought she could reach her, a wall of fear surged forward, knocking her sideways. "Help! Lila!" The panic in her mother's voice compelled her into action, igniting every ounce of adrenaline in her veins. "I'm trapped. Stay right there." Lila yelled back, swiping at the debris that began to encase her vision, her hands shaking as she fought against the crushing weight of despair. The small girl was no longer beside her. Panic bubbled wild in her chest as she spun around, searching for the child. The girl had been just a step away. "No. Please!" she cried, her voice breaking as a wave of horror washed over her, and then, through the thrumming heartbeat of chaos, Lila spotted her. The girl stood frozen, staring at a wall of rubble that had fallen. Something about that singular image filled Lila with purpose. "We can't leave anyone behind." With renewed determination, Lila dashed across the crowded room, every instinct screaming at her to rescue them both. It was the power of connection that fueled her, an invisible bond that tied their fates together. Just as she reached out to grab the girl's hand, the ground shuddered once more, a violent tremor that sent them both crashing to the floor. "Lila!" the girl cried, fear evident in her voice. In that moment, Lila's world narrowed to the innocent face before her. The bond they had forged in shared fear was now their only shield against what lay ahead. "Keep holding on!" Lila shouted, determination shining in her eyes even as her own fear threatened to unravel her. Perhaps together, they could push through the darkness ahead and find their way back into the light. The roar of the collapsing structure suddenly increased, drowning everything else around them. Lila instinctively pulled the girl closer, whispering a silent promise that she wouldn't let go, that they would be safe together, but that promise was challenged as debris fell from above, trapping them in chaos, leaving Lila staring defiantly into a future uncertain. Every beat of her heart screamed for courage, desire, and hope. With each second that slipped away, would they fight their way through this madness, or had they already stepped into an unknown fate? As she clung tightly to the girl, Lila's resolve felt as fragile as glass ready to shatter as they both hovered on the brink of desperation. The world around Lila was a blur of noise and fear, a spiraling chaos that threatened to swallow her whole. With every heartbeat, the ground shifted violently, and each tremor seemed determined to tear them apart. She gripped the girl's small hand even tighter, hoping that the warmth of their connection could anchor them amid the surging tide of panic. "Stay close, just a little further," Lila urged, fighting against the instinct to retreat into safety. They crawled through a maze of fallen debris, and Lila could feel the harsh edge of fear scraping at her nerves. She had to protect this girl, just as much as she had to find her mother. A familiar voice broke through the cacophony again, frantic but unexpectedly close. "Lila. Lila, I can see you." Relief surged within her, momentarily overpowering the overwhelming fear gripping her heart. Her mother's figure emerged through the haze, and Lila's breath caught in her throat as she spotted her a steadfast light in the engulfing darkness. "Mom!" Lila called out, equally exhilarated and terrified. She started to rush forward, but the tremors intensified, splitting the ground beneath her. Pieces of the ceiling tumbled down like rain, and Lila instinctively pulled the girl back, submerging them beneath a hastily formed barricade. "Lila!" Her mother shouted, anguish slicing through the urgency. "I can't get to you. There's too much." The girl squeezed Lila's hand and whispered, "What do we do?" Lila looked at her, the innocence in those wide eyes reflecting both fragility and strength. She could see her own fears mirrored there. "We find a way," she whispered fiercely, trying to summon the energy they both needed. "We climb." With grit and determination, Lila scrambled to her feet, her heart racing at the task ahead. Brushing off the dust and debris from her body, she carefully peeked out from their hiding spot. The chaos held no mercy, and the path to her mother lay strewn with obstacles. But in that moment, Lila felt the weight of doing nothing push against her spirit. They couldn't wait. They couldn't be helpless. "Follow me," she told the girl, pulling her up. "Hold on tight." As they edged away from the makeshift refuge, Lila glanced back at her mother. Although the space between them felt like an insurmountable chasm, hope fluttered in her chest. She could reach her. Together, they could forge ahead, overcome the despair, and reunite. Every step was a battle against the unease that pulsated through the air, a reminder of the lurking danger. They weaved through the wreckage, Lila guiding her companion with unwavering resolve, when suddenly, Lila felt a sharp jolt beneath her feet. The ground sank, a collective gasp rose among the crowd, and Lila stumbled to keep her balance. In an instant, she noticed a jagged edge of the rubble shift, spilling more debris down upon them. "Look out!" she yelled, pushing the girl aside and throwing herself forward. They hit the ground just in time, helplessly shielded from a cascade of concrete that nearly captured them. Lila's heart thundered against her chest, each beat echoing her fear of what might happen next. "Are you okay?" she asked, breathless, scanning for any injury. The girl nodded, but her face was pale, eyes wide with fear. "I'm scared, Lila." She wanted to comfort her, to fill her with courage. But her own strength was waning. "It's all going to be okay," Lila said, though she wasn't sure. She needed to believe it for both of them. "We just have to be brave a little longer." But as Lila peered through the haze of dust and debris, she realized they weren't alone. Figures darted through the wreckage, panic and pain mixing in the air around them. They were all searching for someone. Lila's gaze drifted back to the girl at her side. "Listen, we're going to find a way through this, together. I promise," she declared, squeezing the girl's hand tighter. In the distance, a flicker of recognition sparked in her mother's eyes as she pushed through the overwhelming chaos. If Lila could make it there, if they could stay together. But what if staying together meant stepping into even more danger? What would they have to face next? Lila couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battle lay just ahead. As they took a step closer to the light, uncertainty loomed like a shadow over their fragile hope. What awaited them on the other side? Lila didn't have time to think. She squared her shoulders and moved forward, the little girl trailing close. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her, but she couldn't show fear. They had to keep going. Just a bit further, she urged, taking a deep breath as new tremors rippled through the ground. The air felt thick with tension, each rumble beneath their feet a reminder of the chaos around them. She scanned the faces around her, desperate to catch another glimpse of her mother amid the turmoil. Then she spotted her, less than 30 feet away. Her mother was working her way through the crowd, dodging falling pieces of concrete. Lila's heart soared, hope igniting within her even as the potential danger multiplied before them. We need to move now. Lila directed the girl, tugging on her hand. Together, they pushed through twisted metal and scattered bricks, every step feeling precarious. Lila. Her mother called out again, desperation tinting her voice. Stay low. Keep moving. I'm coming. Mom. Lila shouted back, determination flooding over her. It felt like every person in this chaotic storm was watching, and every heart hung in the balance. Not just hers, but so many others trying to find their loved ones. Lila fought through the tight fit of bodies and debris, the little girl next to her clenching her hand tightly, her small body shaking. We can do it. Just stay focused, Lila whispered encouragingly, even when her own voice quivered. She couldn't cry, not now. They were so close. Suddenly, the ground quaked again, and Lila felt the earth itself groan and crack. A series of sharp noises echoed around her, like the world was trying to tear itself apart. Lila stumbled and fell, pulling the girl down to safety beside her just as a large chunk of concrete fell from overhead. Are you okay? She gasped, frantically checking the girl for injuries. There were tears in her eyes, but more than fear, there was bravery. Just like Lila, the girl nodded, but Lila could see the trembling in her limbs. I don't want to be scared anymore, she admitted. Taking a deep breath, Lila brushed the dust off her. Then let us be brave together, she said fiercely. That was enough to coax a small smile from the girl. Just for a moment, they stood again, anxiety simmering beneath the surface, but Lila couldn't let it control her. They moved forward, more cautiously this time, slipping past wreckage and trying to keep their heads down. With every inch they conquered, Lila could hear her mother's voice growing clearer, yet the distance between them felt as vast as an ocean. She was just about to take another step when something shifted beside her, an ominous creak resonating through the air. Lila, look out! The girl screamed. In an instant, Lila turned to see a beam tilting precariously, about to crash right toward them. Instinct kicked in. Lila lunged forward, pushing the girl out of the way just as the heavy would crash down, narrowly missing them. Heart pounding, Lila tumbled to the ground, pain shooting through her shoulder. Lila! The girl cried, scrambling to her feet. But Lila laid there, breathless, staring at the wrecked beam inches away. I'm okay, she managed to say, though her voice was weak. We have to. Then, the ground shuddered again, and this time, the tremors felt more severe. The chaos around them escalated, filling Lila's ears with frantic cries. Just as she thought they might be able to push through, a cloud of dust surged up, enveloping them, and she saw her mother's face reel in horror through the murky air. Mom! Lila shouted again, but she couldn't tell if her mother even heard her. Panic surged as the girl pulled on Lila's arm, her feet shifting uneasily. What do we do? We can't stay here. The world around them seemed to crack open, just as her will to remain strong began to falter. They were trapped in this horror, with uncertainty looming over them like a dark cloud. Lila took a deep breath. It was time for another choice. We have to find shelter, somewhere safe. She wasn't thinking of herself now. It was all about getting the girl, and hopefully her mother, to safety. Before she could move, the walls seemed to shift again. The space around them felt smaller. There wasn't much time. Stay close to me, she declared, trying to mask her fear with bravado. As they turned to flee deeper into the unknown, dread gnawed at her heart. What if this choice took them further from safety? In a whirl of motion, she felt the weight of the world pressing down, grounding her with ominous dread. What dangers lay ahead? The air was heavy with dust and despair, but Lila pressed on, her heart driven by the urgency of love and responsibility. "Stay with me, okay?" she said to the girl, who nodded, her small hand clutching tightly. They moved together through the chaos, dodging debris and desperate faces, each step resonating with the pulse of fear. "Lila." Her mother's voice cut through the turmoil, sparking a warmth in her chest even as terror clawed at her. "I see you. Keep coming." Hope surged anew. "I'm coming," she yelled back, her voice firm despite the quake beneath her feet. Each shout ignited a blend of fear and resolve within her. They had to reunite, to stand firm against the chaos that threatened to engulf everything. Yet just as Lila maneuvered closer to her mother's calling, a sudden crash sent waves of panic coursing through the crowd. A towering beam swayed perilously overhead, threatening to fall. "Watch out!" Lila instinctively shouted, yanking the girl to her side as they took cover behind an upended table. Dust swirled like a whirlwind around them, stifling any hint of sunlight. "Are we safe?" the girl whispered, her eyes wide, reflecting the same anxieties Lila felt deep within. "We will be," Lila assured her, squeezing her hand reassuringly. "We just have to find my mom." The tremors subsided slightly, and Lila inhaled deeply, her mind racing. She had faced so much tonight. Every encounter had stripped her of privilege and forced her to become who she truly wanted to be. And that person was still determined to forge the bonds of community, the very foundation of love that could empower them all. They emerged cautiously, working back through the rubble, moving now with measured determination. And then, at last, she saw her mother, amidst the wreckage, struggling but resolute. "Mom!" Lila cried, unraveling her fear as she sprinted forward. The girl stayed close behind, her small feet pounding against the ground. "Lila! Thank God!" Her mother's voice, laced with relief and desperation, filled the air, and they collided in an embrace, the world falling away around them. Tears filled Lila's eyes, joy and relief flooding her heart. After everything they had faced, they had found each other again. "Are you hurt?" Lila asked, worried, scanning her mother's face for signs of pain. "Just shaken," her mother replied, her voice trembling yet strong. "I was so afraid I wouldn't see you." The girl clutched Lila's hand tighter, glancing back anxiously as another tremor rumbled through the air, sending a shower of small rocks cascading down from nearby debris. "We need to stay together," Lila said, glancing back toward the crowd, feeling a renewed sense of responsibility washing over her. "Right," her mother agreed, with her mother beside her. Lila felt a charge of determination envelop her. "Let us get everyone to safety," she declared, rallying herself. "We can do this together." The trio pressed forward, weaving through survivors huddled together, helping them rise, guiding them away from the danger, and toward the basement where they would find refuge for the night. Along the way, every person they salvaged, every soul they rallied, became a thread weaving a new tapestry, the tapestry of a community ready to face anything together. Reaching the basement, the echoes of chaos slowly faded into the background. Fewer screams rang out as they directed people inside. The initial fear gave way to moments of calm as whispered reassurances filled the space. Lila turned to her mother and the girl, the weightiness of their resolve resting gently on her shoulders. "We're going to build something out of this," she said, her heart racing with purpose. "A garden, a shelter, a community, something that binds us." Her mother nodded, pride radiating from her. "You've changed so much, Lila. I see it. And I'm proud." The girl spoke up, timidity still coloring her words. "Can we plant flowers?" Lila smiled, tears of joy welling anew. "Yes, we are going to create something beautiful. Together." And in that moment, as they embraced and laughter bubbled alongside tears, Lila understood that she had found something far more meaningful than a title. She had uncovered a family shaped not just by blood but by shared trials and unwavering love, a community bound by strength and connection. As dawn broke, casting rays of golden light through the cracks in the basement, hope blossomed amidst the destruction. It was a beginning, a new adventure of unity. They would face challenges, but not alone. This was the moment to rise together, to create a future of resilience and heart. That if you believed in this extraordinary journey, now is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these powerful tales. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.